Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command, World War II, World at War, with our first ever PvP with SirTravis. We've gotten our turn back from him, so we're gonna load this up and see what he's done. I believe we're moving into April now of 1940 with a progressing invasion of France and progress on my goal of taking Changsha in China. A lot of research starting to build up, some diplomacy moving. Don't know if he's noticed the diplomacy yet. He's certainly not commented on it if he has seen it. So we'll see what he does. He has, of course, been commenting on the damage taken by the Chinese. He's going on the offensive here with French units. He's trying to bombard my tanks. He operated the BEF out. Okay, that's a way to get the BEF out. So he's evacuated them by operating them. So he's gotten them to a port. So they will escape, but he had to pay to operate an army. So that's pretty good still. That's a lot of MPPs he had to spend on that. He's striking out near Canton, dealing 1 damage, taking 2 with an army, dealing none, taking 2 with a corps. That's very good. And he's starting to retreat. Yes! I scared him off, bitch. Canadian destroyer found us again, unfortunately. Don't know why it's not showing the convoy route here, but we dive, we get away. No damage dealt. He's moving some planes of some kind, and that's the replay. It's understood that King Christian X of Denmark could be persuaded to accept protectorate status on the condition that we provide a subsidy to the Danish economy of 100 MPPs at 25 a turn for 4 turns. Whether we choose diplomacy or use military force to secure Denmark, we should make a move soon to consolidate the country in our hands. Would you like to diplomatically invite King Christian X and the Danish government to accept protectorate status from Germany in April? In April, it is April. Yes, I'm gonna hit yes. German forces move into Denmark. The notes were just saying like, oh, it's useful because it can defend the Norway stuff. That's not the reason I'm really getting it. Demonstrations against Danish government caused disruption in Reykjavik, but we do have Reykjavik now. That's good. I'm happy with that. I always find it really weird that if you use diplomacy, it counts as occupied instead of just, you know, joining you for free. Regardless, we now have Denmark. Copenhagen provides 10 MPP a turn and Odense 1.25 MPPs per turn. That is basically going to pay itself off over the next, like, 9 turns. So I don't feel the need to put units there to actually take it. We will almost certainly lose Iceland. Like, we'd have to actually just straight up transport somebody all the way out there. I think you may be able to keep it if you do that. Otherwise, the UK invades it, takes it, and America moves in next. Yeah, I just looked up the event, and the only way to actually stop Iceland from being taken back is to basically have a German transport ready to land immediately. But considering that there's no supply, it would need to be amphibious. So I have no idea how you'd really pull that off. Unless there's only a chance to lose that supply, I don't really know. Regardless, he'll get prompted this upcoming turn to invade it and take it back, so he will. He definitely will. So first and foremost, we're not going to use an upgraded, non-upgraded tactical bomber for anything. We're going to upgrade this new tactical bomber, which is 45 MPPs right off the bat. That's fine. I'm fine with that. We'll use the medium bomber. Yeah, to hit the enemy core here, just to get it a little weakened. Interceptors flying from the UK. I think he's moved almost everything back at this point. From the next turn on, I don't think there will be enough British units. Oh, we took 2 damage on our fighter. Oops. I don't think there will be enough British units really remaining in order to keep the French morale up. We'll use our injured 3rd Army to attack this enemy core that we have now softened up, dealing 4 damage only. Sadly, I was really hoping to deal a more decisive amount of damage there. In that case, we'll take the tactical bombers here and we will use them to bomb there as well. You can see the British carrier over there blocking the strait, but we know exactly where it is. Oh my god, we used this one again. Dealt 3 damage, took 2 damage. Bomber dealt some damage, but the game's glitching the fuck out, so I don't really know, like... Okay, we dealt like 1 damage there. We dealt some more damage here because we did not take any damage. I don't know why the game likes to fucking glitch out like this, but... This fighter is beat the fuck up. Bad, man. Real bad. We will now take the 8th German Army and go ahead and attack, dealing 4 damage. We are really underperforming with these fucking armies from what it says we are going to do, and that is highly unfortunate. This is why we have so many corps in the rear. Let's send the 1st Frontier Corps forward and shatter the enemy French corps. They did a Very fine job holding us off. Ooh, there's even a Cumberland heavy cruiser here. Ooh, isn't that interesting? I'm so tempted to use some subs offensively here to try to distract his bombing efforts. I certainly have fighters in place to defend them. I'll move the 5th Panzer tanks up as far as they can get, which with that mobility turns out to be pretty fucking far. As much as I want to use these bombers against the Cumberland heavy cruiser, which is just way out here in the open, I won't. We will use it against the Polish Corps here, trying to break its entrenchment or just lower its readiness and morale a bit more. Even that would be a win for me, because I'm going to try to break through here with tanks. We'll see how that goes. They're flying French escorts. We dealt 1 damage. Our bombers took 1 damage. And it sounds like we dealt damage to them. Yep, that's fucking game freaking out. Yes, much better odds now are showing themselves. Actually, better yet, we can see there's nobody at Le Havre, right? We can see that, yes? No, we can't. We can't actually see Le Havre, can we? 1, 2. I can't tell if we can. Is this shown or not? Let's take a risk, why don't we, and move forward. We can see there is nothing in Le Havre. There's a fucking ship right here. Oh my good god. He's plugged this up, and honestly, he doesn't realize yet how dangerous that is. He's lucky I'm more focused on killing France than I am at hurting the British Navy, or I would be bombing this stuff, because I could do a lot of damage to it if I wanted to. But we need to get through here, because this is like the last part of his defensive line leading up to Paris. These engineers can't build any more fortifications here if they try, and all of his units seem to be committed to the front with the exception of an HQ. So, we now have a unit on the other side of the river here. Let's see, HA4? HA4 minus 20%. I don't know what all those numbers and letters at the bottom of the screen mean. I just know they represent your chance to attack. So, let's attack without worrying about the river. Dealing 2 damage, taking none. Dealing 3 damage, making the enemy run away successfully, although that does pose a problem of this tank never actually got to attack. This is as far as it could actually move, though. Let's move the 4th German army up to Amains, I don't know how to say this, but we've moved up to it. Oh my god, these tactical bombers are on the verge of death. No wonder he hasn't been using them. We're just going to try to wipe those out then. Shattered enemy tactical bombers, destroyed, 5 damage dealt. There is no room, unfortunately, to move our tanks up any further, sadly. We're definitely not attacking the 1st army. It's entrenched in a forest, so no. We'll move the 3rd army all the way back, and out of here, we'll move the tanks forward, the linebreaker tanks, and they do some pretty good damage here, so we're going to take this opportunity. Against the 2nd French Corps, we dealt 3 damage. Unfortunately, took 1, really underperforming there. We dealt 3 damage. Took none, still technically underperforming though, I might add, and we will move up because we can push it up, so we will. We'll move the 8th Army back and out of the way so we can move Von Bach forward onto Lille, and this opens up opportunities to send forward some armies. This one, I don't know how we're plugging that up yet. I'll move the 10th Army forward, and I might actually go to weaken the 1st Army, to be honest, with some armies of my own. We'll take the risk, dealing 3 damage, taking 2 damage, so that was definitely not in our favor. And we'll also use this 10th Army that we've moved up, dealing 3 damage, taking 1 damage. That was a bit more expected, which then allows me to move the 14th Army up. And I could attack this again, but really I don't want to. He'll probably reinforce it or something, because he might think it's like a target. It'd be a very expensive reinforcement for him. This is probably like my worst turn in a little bit, because the combat rolls are just not on my side right now, and the mud is slowing me down. But it's April, and we have 3 tanks in striking distance of Paris, with only extremely injured French corps and an engineer unit in our way. This paratrooper back here is officially too far away to do fucking anything, so we're just gonna unprepare him and just get him moving up normally, because at this point, that's the only way to get anything done over there. I can move both TAC bombers forward a hex, which is good because they'll need to be in range of anything. Medium bombers will move forward as well. We can move an HQ forward. Von Brunstedt can move up to Brussels, so we can extend our supply and power over there a little bit easier. These Luftwaffe fighters can move here to the Rhine, and that will extend our coverage over our forces and over the enemies quite a bit. This fighter needs a chance to move up as well eventually. We're just clogging the fucking front though. Let's send a sub down here. Attempt an attack. We dealt 3 damage. We took no damage. Cannot move this way in a retreat, which confirms my suspicion that there's probably a ship here. So we'll just move out a touch so that we can move another one in. Attack again. 2 damage dealt, none taken. We can move in here. It says zone of control. That could actually just be from this ship then. Still, if we move up here, that would be kind of a risk, and I don't want to take that risk. I don't feel like it. So we'll just move this back as far as it can get. Maybe setting up so that if he tries to send ships in here to block them off, he runs into more subs than he expects. So then we send the Coast Guard sub down. Attack again. 3 damage dealt. Yeah, just fucking look at that shit. My fighters here that can strafe could do damage at this point. However, I don't want to give him a chance to deal any more damage to any of my fighters, so we're not actually going to do any strafing. Though if I had combined it with a tactical bomber, we'd have some slower land progress, but that would be a dead Cumberland heavy cruiser. Either way, it's a Cumberland heavy cruiser. He's gonna have to pay a lot of money to get back up to snuff, and I did it for virtually free. And so we will... probably, yeah, we're gonna run away. We're gonna run up here. So now he's gonna like run into this. He might try to get around it, run into one of these other ones. If he tries to come out of port, he might run into this. Moving away, a submarine should be safe. I don't think you can see a sub from 2 hexes away. Yeah, no. So for now, these are all technically safe. So this is just a big trap for him to run into. Unless he does recon and find them that way. But he shouldn't have maritime bombers right now. So even if he has tactical bombers, you know, they've retreated. They shouldn't have a lot of strength to do anything, and even if they try, I have fighters ready to escort. We've dealt a fuck ton of damage to a cruiser, so that's going to take a lot of MPPs away from him, way more than convoy raiding in the same time would have done. We have the Cadfish sub here, and Greenland's really the only place to go to try to fix it up. Well, not even fix it up, just get it supplied. Let's take the Cadfish, send it up this way, and head around this way. We're gonna send it off to go get some supplies, and then that's about it. It's just going for the supplies, nothing else. Still a while until we get advanced subs, unfortunately. 280 MPPs remaining. This was a bit of a, this turn was not nearly as lucky as the others. We suffered more losses than I think the past 2 turns combined, which is sad, but we're still making tons of progress and dealing tons of damage to him at a ratio that he can't really keep up with, if you ask me, personally. Let's see here. So, what do I do with this medium bomber? Doesn't really need to be here. Maybe putting it like up north, getting ready to help against any ships might be useful. That might be a useful place to put it. On a town so that the others, the HQs don't have to really account for it. Because it needs upgrades anyway, so it might just end up doing nothing. So yeah, we'll put it on Essen for right now, and then that takes care of that. Japan has 2 new units to deploy, a garrison, put that by Nagasaki. Japan has the Congo battleship, let's just put that at an open port. Sure, Kushiro, why not? Just get those off my screen while I look at my remaining 280 MPPs is Germany. Germany could really use some production technology, so we're gonna go ahead and research production technology with Germany. That leaves me 130 MPPs. I could put some more into logistics, or I could purchase another unit. Definitely some more anti-air would be a good idea. If we have 1 existing for Brest, you know, 1 by Brussels, not even on Brussels really, but like maybe right next to it, next to Lille, which produces some MPPs, Loos, mine, Mons, mine, and Brussels itself, that would be a hell of a defensive fixture if you ask me. Especially when we're not actually expecting him to like land in Belgium or anything, and thus don't need anyone on the capital proper. Let's go ahead and do that. Second anti-air. I like how there's less names than there are amounts of anti-air that we can buy. That's weird. How does that work? Does that mean I can only actually get 4? Or is it not counting that? No, it should count this one. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. It's a 3-month production time. It's kind of crazy. But it's okay. We're going to go ahead and get anti-air for an anti-air. So that makes sense to me. Purchase. 25 MPPs remaining. Not a lot to spend it on other than, say, maybe starting to try to, like, reinforce the Admiral Graf, which I will. 23 MPPs to do that, sure. Yeah, let's get that more up to strength. I'm not upgrading the Navy like crazy, but I'm going to tell you, we're going to go more Navy heavy into Germany than, like, ever before. Because this time we're going to be planning to like eventually take the UK, right? And that's going to take some preparation. It's going to take some naval preparation, not just air. Air and Navy is definitely going to be big for me. Air, Navy, and tanks. It's kind of what I want to like focus on. But infantry, of course, is very important as well. We'll put these destroyers back into port. They don't have to stay outside of port with where they are. And the Admiral Scheer can go sit in this Danish port. We got one more port to use. We unfortunately don't have the Norwegian ports, but it's okay. The MPPs we get are great. And thankfully, those extra MPPs will be paying for any bad turns that we might be having. Oh, this motherfucker put anti-air right next to where I've been bombing. Smart. Smart. That's kind of the shit I did when I played China. And he watched that playthrough, so I know where he's getting these ideas. But he keeps plugging the gap, right? He's moving out of the hills to defend a field, which I think is on this side of the river. I think it is, yeah. And it's not going to work out because I don't even need the bomber's help to really hit that. I can't realistically keep bombing there. It's a terrible idea. Doing that is only a bad thing for me. I need to go on the offensive somewhere else with my bombers so long as that is there. Otherwise, we're going to be fighting and we're going to be losing to a fighter and an anti-air. So this is really protected from air now. That is a shame. However, we don't need air to get through some of these units. So we're going to try to take advantage of that. Let's go ahead and attack with the North Chinese Front Army. We dealt 5 damage immediately. We'll move back a hex, allowing the 11th Regional to move up. Where if they attack, it's not actually going to be that great of an idea, as it would seem. So, okay, in that case, we'll attack with... I don't even know if I want to attack with this one. But it could wipe it out. It did not wipe it out. And we took damage that we weren't supposed to take. So we can finish it off with the 11th Regional anyway. The damage we took was unfortunate, but we can now move the Central Expedition Army forward. And now we're essentially in these lines. You know, we've broken through. Changsha is starting to get surrounded, and I can start attacking this anti-air pretty much immediately, dealing 2 damage, taking 1. Dude, what is with my fucking rolls this turn? They're terrible. They're fucking terrible. Holy shit, I had so many turns of like perfect rolls, or better than expected, and now I'm paying for it, you know? There's I'm sure there's a term for that, like luck debt, some shit like that. I don't know. But we need to put another Japanese chit back into the DEI, so 50 MPPs, there you go. That's paid for. 253 remaining. It's somewhat limits what we can do, because I want to keep adding to research, and there's a lot of room to keep adding to research, but it's also expensive. I'm going to take the 13th Army, and we're going to put it across the river on this. This is a field, really? Oh, well, we're going to put it in this field next to these enemies here, because he's being very aggressive down here. We're also going to force march this corps up to reinforce there as well. And we're going to move the North Chinese Front Army just over here a little bit. Extend some zone of control right there to stop him from pushing up. While we can still kind of reinforce any side of this as we please. Ideally, you know, I want to be able to bomb stuff still. But it's not going to be really very useful this turn. Changsha is my ultimate goal. If he keeps his anti-air here, it's just going to get pummeled until it dies. So I can either take this time to bomb something else, or I can just shift all my air south instead, and then get in range for bombing this line where we should be able to start pushing up pretty well, because this southern offensive is really what I'm going for. It's cut off from like Chungking into the north, so I want to keep pushing here. Yeah, we'll just move for now. We'll move the maritime or the medium bombers there. We'll move the tactical bombers there, so they're still in relative safety with a lot of supply available to them. And they're going to be in range to support the south. We'll support one offensive in one place with the units that we have available. And it will look like this. I'm going to force march the 21st Army up here. I don't think he'll understand that I force marched it enough to care. I'm going to move this corps forward so it can get some reinforcements in and just kind of get this ready to be pushed forward. I'm going to meet his push with my own push, essentially, right now. Yeah, there's really nowhere better for these things to be. Not unless I move the HQ. And I don't feel like moving any HQs right now. Hell, I kind of wish I had another HQ so I could focus even more on the south. Well, I guess I know where this corps up north is going to be going, probably to the south, because we're going to want some maneuvering room. speaking of maneuvering room, there's a really important tech we need to get as Japan. Eventually. Later rather than sooner, or more accurately, later doesn't matter very much, but I think I want to get it early. And that would be getting mobility, because mobility for armies especially, which I will end up relying upon here in China, is very, very important. It's very important for moving through the mountains once we start getting past like Yunnan and stuff like that. Hell, even before that, it could be useful. So I want to start researching that, and I'm going to research it right now. So 175 MPPs are going to go into mobility research. We can afford one more 175 MPP research right now until something else finishes. And then we just need to like open up slots. But I think naval weaponry is about to get maxed anyway. We'll take the 13th Corps and we're going to operate it. 15 MPPs. We're going to send that down by Hangzhou as well. 63 MPPs remaining. This allows me to move some things up. We're going to have to maybe operate something to pull this off. Actually, no, we won't. We really, really won't. Because I can just force march this up by this point. Force march this up by this point, and then just, there you go. Now this is completely taken care of. Any other garrisons are destined for the mainland, in fact. And I'm not quite sure where to put them first. Naturally, we're going to have to move this up sooner rather than later, so something over there could be smart. So that would take care of 3. Also, there's like this right here, 2. But also, I do want something to free up this HQ. I don't want this HQ to kind of be bound to being on this random spot. So let's take this. We're going to transport the 7th garrison. We're going to send it up here. There you go. So that we can then put the HQ right here instead. March this there. And we have taken care of these spots, and we're good. I'll move some carriers around. Like, I'm going to move this one all the way down to Haikou again. I think one of them was at Haikou, and now there's another one. Just in case he tries to do any bombing right here, or maybe it can work for an escort right there, because we don't really have enough fighters yet. And as for other carriers, they're like, most of them are not built, realistically. This one's in a decent position to defend against stuff. 48 MPPs. It's not upgraded, which is sad. We cannot afford a garrison with this amount of MPPs. We did just deploy another one, though. So that much is good. So what I'll do is with this carrier, I'll give it advanced fighters and long-range aircraft. Can I give it the works? No, I have to leave out naval weaponry. That's fine. It doesn't need that just yet. So 36 MPPs to get the Akagi carrier with its fighter upgrades. Now it can kind of serve to protect this in case we end up moving this fighter somewhere else. Italy's still at 85% mobilization. There's still a lot more prep work we need from them. So we're going to get Garibaldi up to 10. We're going to reinforce this tank, the Ariettes, up to 10. 42 MPPs remaining. Now it's mostly just like ships and stuff, but the ships certainly cannot get up to strength right now. We'll reinforce the 1st Corps. So that all that remains that can even be upgraded are the ships. 27 MPPs remaining, and then I think we might just save the rest of that. We're ready to do some minimalist work over here in France, assuming he's moved everything out of here. If he hasn't, oh well, we're not going to push that hard anyway. Just being prepared in case. So since I believe that's all we're going to be doing this turn, let's go ahead and hit end turn. French morale falls as the Germans approach Paris. Yep. Prominent Chinese war leader Wang Jingwei willing to sign an agreement with us that could prove useful in return for allowing him to set up a reorganized national government of the Republic of China. Based in Nanjing, his government will have the ability to raise some Chinese units. These can be used to guard our positions threatened by Chinese partisans, and raising them would free up some of our troops for frontline service. However, setting up his administration will cost us 25 MPPs. Additionally, we will have to provide MPPs for the training and equipping of any Chinese units raised. Would you like to allow Wang Jingwei to set up his government for a cost of 25 MPPs? At the end of December 1939, an agreement was signed between Wang and the Japanese. In return for allowing Wang Jingwei to head a new government, it was agreed that after the war, Japanese troops and advisors would be stationed throughout the country. China would give Japan some industrial concessions, and the Japanese Navy would control Hainan Island. Wang took up office in Nanjing on, I hate when the dates are written like this, March 30th, 1940, and by 1941 he had about 100,000 troops under arms, assisting the Japanese fighting the partisans. Wang Jingwei's regime has the potential to raise 1 corps and 3 garrison units, so if you wish to increase your ability to raise more units, then it's recommended to say yes to this. 25 MPPs to allow myself to get 3 more garrisons, and a core, of course I'm going to say yes to that. I don't care about what happens after the war. This is a game about World War II. Besides, they did this historically anyway. So, Wang Jingwei takes up office in Nanjing. There you go. Anglo-French expedition returns from Finland. Yep. German blitzkrieg continues towards Paris. And there's the mud. Woo! God, I love these MPPs. But looks like that's going to be everything for our turn. And so that's a good spot to end the episode. So I hope you guys are enjoying how this is going. It's a big shame how many losses we had with Germany this turn. We got lucky for a couple turns in a row, and now unfortunately we're paying for all that luck. Our debt is coming in, you know? For now though, thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.